Since I've been a little girl, I never would go against you. And I think I'm really fed up.
When you're stacked with millions and your face is everywhere, the last thing you expect is your own kid calling you out. But that's what went down. Rap stars getting blasted by their grown children, tired of broken promises, pulling out receipts on their phones and airing family business for the world to see. Screens lit up, timelines exploded, and private pain turned headline drama overnight. First up, Dr. Dre and his daughter LaTanya Young. Say Dr. Dre and people think legendary beats, classic albums, aftermath, Beats headphones, and a near-billion business grind. But in 2021, the story flipped. LaTanya, at 38, went public in interviews and said she was homeless, which shocked fans who only knew the polished empire. So when the news hit, fans felt whiplash. How can both stories be true at once? She said that despite her dad being a billionaire mogul, she was living out of a rented SUV, hustling multiple gigs, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, just to keep food in the fridge. By her account, she bounced between that truck and quick shifts, chasing tips and miles, trying to keep it together while figuring out the next move. That image, hip-hop royalty versus real-life struggle, hit hard and had timelines buzzing fast.
Dr. Dre's estranged daughter says she can't afford an apartment and is living out of her rental car. How do you feel as a 38-year-old woman sleeping in your car, a rental car, and your father is a billionaire, almost a billionaire?
LaTanya explained she hadn't gotten financial help from Dr. Dre since January 2020. And before that, it came off and on through his team, not directly from him. Commentators reacted with disbelief, debating family responsibility, adult independence, and how money changes relationships. Messy, public, and impossible to ignore. Reactions split, with some urging compassion and others stressing boundaries. While many noted we don't know the private context behind closed doors, LaTanya revealed she hadn't spoken to her dad in over 17 years. Yeah, almost 2 decades without a real conversation. She said she'd tried again and again to reach out, but every call, every message just hit a wall. According to her, she didn't even have his number. Imagine that. Instead, she had to go through his team just to get a word across, which left her feeling completely shut out and forgotten. As a single mother of 4, she opened up to outlets like the Daily Mail, showing pictures of how she was living and holding on to hope that maybe, just maybe, something could change. Those images went viral fast, sparking heavy talk online about money, fame, and family loyalty. Because how does a daughter end up like that when her dad's one of the richest men in music? Reports later claimed Dre's camp had their own reason for cutting off support, though details stayed vague and guarded. Dre himself never made a public statement, staying silent through all the noise. And as of 2026, there's still no sign of a reunion.
He will not give her money because she has spoken negatively about him in the press. I feel like you should have a trust for your children. If you have that much money, every single child should have a trust. All of them.
Leaving this situation hanging as one of hip-hop's most painful and talked about family rifts. This next story hits different. It's about a son who said straight up, it was never about the money. We're talking about 50 Cent and his son, Marquise Jackson. Their long-running feud has become one of the wildest and most public father-son battles in hip-hop history, stretching over a decade with no sign of peace in sight. Every few years, something new sparks up, and fans are left wondering if these two will ever find common ground again. Marquise has used social media, especially Instagram, as his stage to call out his dad for what he says was emotional neglect. He's accused 50 of being more focused on his fame, business moves, and TV empire than on building a real bond with his own kid. Their issues trace all the way back to a messy custody fight in the early 2000s between 50 and Marquise's mom, Shaniqua Tompkins, and instead of healing, things just kept getting worse. Then came 2022, when Marquise made headlines with a bold stunt. He offered his dad $6,700, the same amount as his old monthly child support, just to spend one full day with him. It wasn't about cash, it was a statement. Marquise wanted to show the world that this wasn't a money problem, but a heart problem. He was desperate for connection, not a check, and he made sure everyone knew it loud and clear. When people asked what he really wanted from his dad, Marquise didn't hold back. He laid it out raw. No filter, and made his feelings impossible to ignore.
He believes that, from his perspective, he thinks I'm entitled when that's not the case. Like, it's never been about the money for me. It's more so the relationship and for me, personally.
The drama flared up again on Father's Day 2025, when Marquise dropped a sarcastic AI-generated betting slip online, mocking the odds of 50 Cent ever recognizing him publicly or fixing their broken bond. He turned the whole situation into a digital joke, comparing their relationship to a high-stakes gamble where the house always wins. The post blew up fast, and fans couldn't help but react, some laughing at the dark humor, others feeling the sting behind the shade. In that post, Marquise accused his dad of cutting him out of the will and never stepping up as a real father figure. He claimed that despite all the fame, all the success, 50 never gave him the kind of guidance a son really needs. Still, even after all the drama, Marquise said he's open to reconciliation, though he admits it feels like a long shot. The mix of anger and hope made the situation even more emotional, showing that deep down, he still wants peace.
Honestly, I don't know what to expect from this situation. If we do have a sit down, I don't necessarily know what to expect or what it looks like. But if it takes me paying him for his time, I'm more than willing to do that. Maybe we could just gain understanding of each other.
50 didn't stay silent. He fired back, reminding everyone that he paid over $1 million in child support. He also blamed Marquise's mom for creating distance between them, saying she fueled the tension for years. Both sides have dropped hints about making amends, but so far, nothing's changed. The pain keeps resurfacing, and every new post or interview pulls that father-son wound right back into the spotlight. And while Marquise wrestles with the hurt of having an estranged father who's still alive, the next story hits even deeper. A son dealing with the legacy of a father who's been gone for decades. We're talking about Big Pun and his son, Chris Rivers. A story that dives into love, loss, and the heavy shadow of a complicated past marked by domestic violence and emotional scars. Back in November 2017, Chris Rivers released the powerful music video for Fear of My Crown from his album DeLorean, and it hit deep. The visuals were raw and emotional, showing a generational cycle of physical and emotional abuse inside a home. It wasn't just a song, it was a statement. Chris poured his truth into it, drawing from memories of growing up in what he described as an extremely abusive environment. He was only 5 when his father, Big Pun, passed away in 2000 from a heart attack linked to obesity, but those early years left a mark that never faded. In interviews, Chris got real about what he witnessed, the little things and the big things that shape a person forever. He talked about how abuse damages confidence, crushes self-worth, and plants seeds of depression and trauma that often stay hidden in families too scared to face what really happened. That honesty shook people. The song and video sparked huge conversations, and not everyone was ready for that level of truth. A lot of fans praised Chris for being bold enough to touch such a sensitive topic like domestic violence and child abuse. They saw him as breaking a cycle and forcing hip-hop to face the uncomfortable. But others, they weren't as understanding. Critics accused him of dragging his father's name through the mud, saying he was disrespecting the dead and ruining Big Pun's legacy as one of the greatest lyricists of all time. The divide was sharp. Some saw courage, others saw betrayal. To clear the air, Chris dropped a follow-up video on November 9th, 2017, setting the record straight. He explained that Fear of My Crown wasn't a direct recreation of his own life or aimed at Big Pun himself. It was a broader message meant to raise awareness and help others who'd been through abuse. He said it was about healing, not hate. Chris wanted people to know that his art came from a place of pain and purpose, a reflection meant to empower victims to speak up and break the silence once and for all. Through his music, Chris Rivers made sure victims felt seen, understood, and empowered to finally break the cycle in their own lives. He's always been open about the fact that, despite the pain tied to his upbringing, he still loves and respects his father's legacy deeply. In interviews, Chris said he honors Big Pun's name through his craft, carrying the torch musically, while also facing the hard truths head-on to make sure history doesn't repeat itself. And even now, as of 2026, Chris continues to drop music that blends heartfelt introspection with lyrical skill, walking that fine line between tribute and transformation. But while Chris turned his pain into art, the next story is about a daughter who went public in real time, taking her family drama straight to social media. We're talking about Boosie Badazz and his daughter, Toriiana, and this one had the internet completely losing it. It's one of the wildest, most explosive family feuds hip-hop has ever seen unfold live on the gram. In August 2023, Toriana, who was 16 at the time, jumped on Instagram Live and exposed some serious issues she said had been going on behind the scenes. The live session spread like wildfire across social media, and people couldn't believe what they were hearing. She didn't hold back at all, saying her relationship with her dad had been full of emotional abuse and tension that fans had no clue about. Viewers were in shock, hearts pounding, trying to process what they were watching unfold right in front of them. During the stream, Toriana even played an audio recording of a private phone call with her father, and it was harsh to listen to. Boosie could be heard yelling at her, using strong language and threats that instantly set off outrage online. The tone was heavy, and hearing it come from a father to his daughter hit people hard. It made fans question everything they thought they knew about Boosie, not just as an artist, but as a parent. Boosie didn't stop there. He took things even further by saying he was cutting Toriana out of his will and ending all financial support from that point on. That audio clip tore through the internet like a wildfire. Every major blog and gossip page was posting it nonstop. People everywhere started calling Boosie out, accusing him of emotional abuse and toxic parenting toward his own daughter. The reactions were heated, with fans divided between defending tough love and calling it out as straight-up damaging behavior. But Boosie wasn't about to stay quiet or let Toriana control the narrative. Not long after her live stream went viral, he jumped on his own Instagram Live to address it, and he didn't deny a thing. He confirmed the recording was real and even doubled down on everything he said, standing firm in his words. He admitted to taking back the Mercedes-Benz he had gifted her for her birthday, claiming it was a lesson for being ungrateful and choosing to live with her mom instead of under his roof. The move shocked people, especially since it looked more like punishment than parenting. Boosie defended his approach by calling it tough love, saying that's how he was raised in Louisiana. Meanwhile, Toriana's emotional live video painted a different picture entirely. She said that while her pops might give his kids flashy gifts and financial help, he fell short when it came to emotional and mental support. That hit fans hard, because money can't replace real connection. Toriana's words revealed a raw side of their father-daughter relationship that nobody had seen before. She vented that her dad had more time for interviews and podcasts than for his own kids. And just when people thought the drama might cool down, Boosie dropped a diss track aimed at both Toriana and her mom, taking the family feud from the gram to the booth and turning it into a full-blown public spectacle.
You gonna make sure your kid's straight. You always gonna do that. But emotionally, mentally, you suck. You suck, bruh.
By early 2026, the situation between Boosie and Toriana still hadn't cooled off. No apologies, no reconciliation, nothing. The drama kept simmering online, leaving fans wondering if their father-daughter bond could ever be repaired, or if it was permanently broken. But while Toriana was fighting to get emotional attention from a dad who's very much alive and active, another rapper's son took a similar path, this time calling out his legendary father after feeling invisible for years. Enter Ghostface Killah and his son, Infinite Coles. In May 2023, the hip-hop world was shocked when Infinite hopped on Instagram and unloaded years of pain in one explosive post. The tone was emotional, raw, and brutally honest. Infinite accused Ghostface, one of the Wu-Tang Clan's most respected icons, of being a deadbeat dad, saying he'd spent most of his life feeling neglected and abandoned. Fans were stunned, trying to reconcile the image of a hip-hop legend with the hurt coming straight from his own son. Infinite said the lack of connection had caused him deep emotional pain, describing a lifetime of silence that cut way deeper than people realized. In his post, he wrote that he hadn't had a real conversation or face-to-face moment with his father in over 15 years. Imagine that, 15 years without a call, a visit, or even a simple, "How are you?" despite endless attempts to reconnect. To prove it wasn't just talk, Infinite even shared screenshots, years worth of texts and messages left unanswered, showing how many times he tried reaching out and got nothing back. The screenshots told their own story, a visual timeline of heartbreak and effort ignored. The post painted Ghostface in a light fans weren't used to seeing, less as the lyrical genius from Wu-Tang, and more as a father who might have turned his back on his own blood. Infinite opened up about what life was really like growing up without his father's support, saying he struggled through poverty, sometimes without even the basics. No lights, no gas, nothing.
The biggest deadbeat in the world, let him tell it. He said he's the biggest deadbeat in the world, never did anything for him. During COVID, he was sleeping in a shelter. They've been homeless, having their gas turned off, never gave them $1.
He claimed Ghostface let his own kids go through it, while uncles and extended family stepped in when they could, offering just enough help to keep things moving. The pain in his words was heavy, especially when he mentioned that during the 2020 pandemic, he ended up living in a homeless shelter for nearly a year, with not a single call or check-in from his dad. That detail hit fans hard because it painted a picture of complete emotional distance, not just financial neglect. What made Infinite's story even more heartbreaking was that he made it clear this wasn't about chasing money. It was about wanting love, effort, and acknowledgement from the man who raised an empire, but couldn't seem to pick up the phone. His post read less like an attack and more like a cry for connection, and that honesty made people online stop scrolling and pay attention. But instead of things getting better, they got worse.
He's crying out for help, seeming like he just needs a father. Say he doesn't want his money, he just wants his love.
Infinite later revealed that after he went public, Ghostface blocked him entirely. That move only fueled Infinite's resolve. He said if his voice couldn't be heard privately, then he'd make sure it was heard publicly. By 2025, he took that pain and poured it into his art, releasing songs like Ghostface Killah that spoke directly to his hurt and distance from his father. The music became therapy, even as the silence from Ghostface stayed deafening. As of January 2026, there's still no reconciliation, no statements, no peace, just silence. Infinite continues to express his truth through his lyrics while his father remains quiet. But not every family feud stays cold forever, because the next case, Master P and his son, Romeo Miller, shows that sometimes when the pain cuts deep enough, it can actually push a family toward healing, even after heartbreak. Their emotional fallout in December 2022 shook the culture and showed how grief can either divide or bring people back together. Earlier in 2022, tragedy struck when Toriiana Miller, Romeo's sister and Master P's daughter, passed away from an accidental fentanyl overdose at just 29 years old. The loss shattered the entire family, leaving them heartbroken and haunted by the question of what more could have been done to save her. While they were still reeling from the pain, Romeo took to Instagram stories, opening up raw emotions and publicly calling out his father. He accused Master P of overlooking the family's mental health struggles and failing to provide the kind of emotional support and therapy Toriiana desperately needed during her long battle with addiction and mental illness. Romeo said that instead of facing the family's pain directly, his father kept hiding behind that trademark image of toughness and hustle. He believed that if the family had truly faced those issues head-on, without pretending everything was fine, things might have turned out differently. The post was emotional and direct, making it clear that Romeo wasn't looking for clout. He was venting years of frustration and heartbreak. He also shared how unsupported he felt himself, saying that no amount of money, fame, or success could fix what was broken inside the family. According to Romeo, they didn't need another business move or motivational quote. They needed real healing. He called out his dad's constant social media sermons about perseverance and strength, saying those words meant little when the family's emotional wounds were being ignored. It was an open letter that came from both love and pain. Master P eventually responded with a long Instagram statement of his own, taking a calmer tone. He acknowledged the family's deep grief, expressed his love for all his children, and said forgiveness was the only way forward. He stood by his efforts as a father, but suggested that misunderstandings and maybe some outside influences had made things worse. His message ended on hope, but fans could still feel the heartbreak behind every word as the world watched a father and son trying to find peace in the middle of unimaginable loss. The beef between Master P and Romeo Miller, while short-lived, was intense and emotional, but thankfully, it didn't stay ugly for long. By early 2023, both father and son seemed to pull back from public shots and began working toward private healing. Then by 2025, fans got the proof they'd been hoping for, signs of real reconciliation. The two made joint appearances and even shared the stage at Essence Festival 2025, performing together like old times. The crowd went wild, seeing a powerful symbol of family coming full circle after so much pain. Later that same year, Master P gave interviews confirming what fans suspected. The beef was officially squashed. He reflected on his personal growth and how the loss of Toriiana had pushed both him and Romeo to appreciate life and family more deeply. Romeo echoed similar feelings, saying he and his dad were in a healthy space again. By early 2026, the two appeared solid, connected, and stronger than ever, turning what could have been a lasting wound into a story of forgiveness and growth. It was one of the rare cases in hip-hop where love won over pride. But not every family feud ends with hugs and healing. The next story shows the opposite. A daughter who took her father's public image and tore it apart, exposing what she said was hypocrisy that ran deep. And even years later, there's been zero reconciliation in sight. Back in June 2010, Miami rap pioneer Uncle Luke, real name Luther Campbell, became the center of a major family scandal when his then 18-year-old daughter, LaCresha Cree Campbell, uploaded a series of explosive YouTube videos that rocked the hip-hop world. In those videos, Cree accused her father of being a deadbeat dad, saying he physically abused her mother during their marriage and emotionally abandoned her and her siblings. What made the claims hit even harder was how sharply they contrasted with Luke's public persona as a proud, involved family man. Cree went into detail, saying she witnessed alleged domestic violence firsthand as a child, including moments when Luke reportedly hit her mother. The revelations were shocking and sparked heated debates about truth, image, and accountability. Cree didn't hold back. She came for her father hard. She accused Uncle Luke of putting his career and his new family above his older kids, leaving them feeling forgotten and unsupported while he enjoyed fame, money, and success. In her eyes, the hypocrisy was loud. He was out here celebrated as a family man and community leader, yet behind closed doors, she said he barely showed up as a father. The emotional weight of her words struck a chord with viewers, especially because she spoke with such raw pain, exposing the side of fame that doesn't make the highlight reel. When the controversy first exploded, Luke tried to downplay it. During a red carpet interview at the VH1 Hip Hop Honors, where he was promoting a 2 Live Crew reunion tour, he brushed off the accusations as exaggerated, claiming they came from family drama and outside manipulation. He framed it like typical celebrity tension, but the internet wasn't buying it. Fans wanted real answers, not PR talk. Then by late June 2010, things took a sharp turn. Luke went public again, this time in interviews and blog posts, saying he was officially disowning most of his children. The statement sent shockwaves through social media. He said his kids hate him, rarely call on birthdays or holidays, and have been poisoned against him by their mothers. Luke insisted that he had paid over $10 million in child support through the years, covered education costs, and provided all the material stuff, but claimed that wasn't enough to earn loyalty or respect from his kids. He called the public fallout a betrayal and said disowning them was his way of protecting his peace and his current family's well-being. The reaction was instant and fierce. Some people slammed Luke's move as cold, calling it immature for a father to cut off his kids like that instead of trying to fix things privately. Others, though, said it showed just how messy blended families can get when money, pride, and public image mix together. The debate got heated, but one thing everyone agreed on: the situation was sad all around. And now, as of 2026, there's still been no public sign of reconciliation between Luke and Cree. Their bond remains broken. Another painful reminder of how fame can tear families apart when love gets lost in the spotlight. This next story hits with a twist. A daughter who waited until she made it big before putting her famous father on blast. We're talking about Benzino and his daughter, Coi Leray. Their long-running feud has been one of the most dramatic and public father-daughter clashes in modern hip-hop, playing out across social media like a real-life soap opera that fans couldn't stop watching. Things really exploded in April 2022 after Coi appeared on The Breakfast Club and spoke her truth about growing up broke. She implied that her pops wasn't doing as well financially back then as people assumed, and that comment set everything off. The moment hit the internet, and within hours, it turned into a full-blown family meltdown. According to reports, Benzino didn't take her words lightly. He allegedly fired off a series of heated texts to both Coi and her mother, messages that Coi later shared publicly through emotional tweets and posts. In those posts, Coi called her dad bitter and evil, saying instead of celebrating her success, he was doing everything he could to tear her down. She said it felt like he wanted control of her story, and when he couldn't have it, he turned against her.
Side, you still want to be bitter. That's why you burn all your relationships, my nigga. And that's why my career, yo, bro, I have to really bend my back and make sure niggas can understand me as a person, because at the end, to affect me. All that other personal shit he talking about, mansions and all that, everybody that's been in my life is fucking cap.
The whole thing got messy, with fans watching the drama unfold in real time across Instagram and Twitter. In one emotional video, Coi made it clear she was done staying silent. She said she had zero patience left for her father trying to rewrite history or claim credit for her hard-earned success. She also pointed out how Benzino barely communicated with her, skipping over important moments in her life. But now that she was blowing up, he suddenly wanted to be seen. The message was loud and unapologetic. Coi wasn't holding back anymore, and she was ready to tell her side, no matter how uncomfortable it made her father look. The breaking point between Benzino and Coi Leray came in May 2024, when Benzino showed up on the Drink Champs podcast and made a string of wild comments that pushed things way past the limit. Whatever he said hit Coi deep, because not long after, she jumped on social media and made a bold final statement. She was done.
Let's talk about how I don't speak to you. You didn't wish me happy birthday on like damn near none of my birthdays. Didn't say happy Thanksgiving. Haven't spoke to you in months, but then try to get me to go on Growing Up Hip Hop, right? Try to get me to go on Growing Up Hip Hop. Told me that they wasn't gonna let you on it if it wasn't for me. They didn't want to pay me the money I wanted. After that, I never heard from you again. Never heard from you again.
Coi publicly declared she wanted nothing to do with anything my father has going on, officially cutting ties and saying DNA doesn't make you family. That line exploded across timelines, becoming the defining quote of their fallout. It was raw, final, and full of pain. Since then, as of January 2026, there's been zero reconciliation between them. Coi stayed laser-focused on her music and her new role as a mom, keeping her distance while continuing to rise in her career. Fans have praised her strength, but you can still feel the sadness in how permanent that break seems. It's like she closed the chapter for good, walking away from the chaos to protect her peace. But Coi's not the only daughter of a hip-hop legend to go public with deep family pain. The next story takes us into another explosive father-daughter conflict, one that played out in real time for the whole world to see. In June 2023, on Father's Day weekend of all times, Aoki Lee Simmons, the youngest daughter of music mogul Russell Simmons, took to Instagram and aired it all out. At just 20 years old and fresh out of Harvard with a budding modeling career ahead of her, Aoki accused her dad of years of verbal and emotional abuse. She posted tearful videos, screenshots of text messages, and even FaceTime clips that showed what she described as his hostile and erratic behavior. The internet went wild as people saw a side of Russell they'd never imagined. In one heartbreaking clip, Aoki explained how torn she felt, trying to build her own name in the fashion world while feeling like her own father was actively working against her. Her emotions were raw and real, turning what could have been a private family issue into one of the most talked about celebrity father-daughter breakdowns of that year. Aoki didn't sugarcoat a thing. She went all in, saying her dad's behavior had gotten so toxic that it triggered severe panic attacks, sometimes bad enough to need emergency medication. The emotional toll was obvious, and fans could feel how deeply hurt she was. The situation reportedly blew up after her older sister, Ming Lee Simmons, posted a Father's Day tribute to their mom, Kimora, instead of Russell. And that single post allegedly sent him into a rage that reignited old family wounds. Aoki shared detailed examples of what she described as her dad's mistreatment, claims that he'd called her a pig during arguments, threatened to destroy her modeling career, and even harassed her boyfriend and friends. The allegations painted a disturbing picture of a once close relationship turned hostile, and the internet couldn't look away. Her mom, Kimora Lee Simmons, stepped in fast, standing by her daughter's side and backing her up publicly. Kimora reposted Aoki's videos and added her own accusations, calling out Russell's behavior as abuse and harassment. She blasted him for his erratic attitude and how it had affected their kids, saying enough was enough. The family drama spilled across social media, turning what was already an emotional conflict into a full-blown public spectacle. Russell fired back with a mix of apologies and defenses on his own Instagram, saying he loved his daughters, but denying the most serious claims. He hinted that Kimora had turned the kids against him and blamed the tension on years of misunderstanding. It was a messy back and forth that left fans torn, unsure who to believe. But one thing was clear: the pain in that family ran deep.
I moved out recently. And you know, a lot of people when I'm working and modeling, I'm so grateful. They'll say to me, oh, I met your dad 10 years ago. He's so wonderful. And I'm working, so I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's great parts to him. And we used to be very close because that's how I make money to move out. He won't give me any money, which is fine. You don't have to give me money. I'm 20, I'm over 18, I don't know. But then I can't also speak out against him without him messing up my job.
By late 2023, most of the posts were deleted as the public attention faded. But insiders said the tension didn't just vanish. Reports from 2025 hinted at some quiet reconciliation after Aoki went through personal challenges, though nothing official was ever confirmed. As of January 2026, their relationship remains fragile. Better than before, maybe, but still uncertain. And while Aoki faced the fallout of a strained bond with a father who was still very much alive, the next case exposes a whole different kind of issue. A rapper whose kids accused him of loving his reality TV fame more than being a real dad. Kirk Frost and his kids became the center of one of love and hip-hop, Atlanta's most explosive family storylines. The drama hit hard during the 2016 to 2017 seasons when Kirk's secret affair with Jasmine Washington came to light, and it wasn't just a fling. The affair led to the birth of their son, Cannon, in 2016, and when that truth dropped, it completely blew up the Frost family dynamic. The fallout was messy, emotional, and public, with fans watching every twist play out in real time. Kirk's marriage to Rasheeda Frost took a serious hit, and his relationship with his children started falling apart on and off the camera. Kirk's got 7 kids from different relationships, some grown, some still young, and the tension didn't just start with the affair. His older children, especially his eldest son Christopher, had already been distant for years. Christopher revealed on the show that he hadn't seen his father consistently since he was around 12 years old, creating more than a decade of separation that cut deep. Fans saw how that long estrangement exposed cracks in Kirk's reputation as a dad, showing that some of his family issues had been brewing long before the cameras ever rolled. When the cheating scandal hit, it didn't just damage his marriage, it opened the door for his kids to voice their own frustrations. They started speaking out about how Kirk was, in their eyes, more of a TV dad than a real one. Someone who'd show up for scenes, business moves, and on-screen drama, but barely showed up for everyday moments like school events or check-ins. That image of a man balancing fame and family started to crumble fast. The situation became a prime example of how reality TV fame can blur real life, leaving the people closest to you feeling ignored and resentful. Kirk's kids weren't just mad about the affair. They were calling out years of emotional absence, proving that the biggest damage sometimes happens off camera. When the cameras stopped rolling, Kirk Frost's kids said the real issue wasn't just what the world saw, it was what happened off screen. They accused him of barely showing up to events or offering emotional support when there were no lights, no microphones, and no producers around. Then, in 2019, Jasmine Washington reignited the fire with explosive social media rants and interviews, accusing both Kirk and Rasheeda of being fake TV parents. She claimed they cared more about creating a picture-perfect image for ratings than about actually being there for their kids in real life. Jasmine didn't hold back. She said Kirk wasn't nearly as hands-on with Cannon as he pretended to be on camera, and that behind the scenes, he failed to prioritize his son's well-being. The drama spilled into public view through custody and child support battles that kept their names in the headlines. Fans were divided. Some felt Jasmine was exposing the truth, while others thought she was stirring the pot. Either way, the whole situation showed just how hard it can be to balance fame, money, and family when every move is up for public debate. By October 2025, though, Kirk made a rare move. He publicly apologized to Cannon, expressing regret for letting outside pressure and pride get in the way of being the kind of father he should have been. He promised to step up and be more present moving forward. His eldest son, Christopher, had already reconnected with him back in 2021. And the two even shared emotional reunion moments on social media that gave fans hope that maybe things were finally changing. Still, that 2016 affair remains the breaking point that exposed just how fragile life under the reality TV spotlight can be, especially when family and fame collide. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Let me know which story shocked you the most and what you want to see covered next.